I'd first like to acknowledge the group of people that came together to help construct this speech. Mirroring the kaupapa of the dance music scene, we made this as a collaborative effort and then honed it through some fancy technology. Thanks, ChatGPT. We'd also like to extend our heartfelt thanks to the Tate Awards Committee for recognising Micronism's 1998 album, Inside a Quiet Mind. This acknowledgement holds tremendous significance, not only for those who were directly involved at the time, but also for the entire dance music community. Dance music has provided the soundtrack to countless lives, weaving the narratives of people, cultures and places, ultimately also becoming an integral part of our collective folklore, and it's nice to see that acknowledged in this way. So, the 1990s, as Warren mentioned, was a special time for the dance scene here. Most famously, for this story, the underground warehouse parties, particularly at 398 Great North Road and Normanby Road. Yeah. Through these events, a number of acts were also showcasing their music, one of whom, Denver McCarthy, showed a preternatural skill at creating sonic landscapes that could transport people to the place that makes music the most important thing in their lives. Denver, like many dance music producers, came from a metal background. Yeah. Still got the long hair? Yeah. Which influenced the sound of his first heavier techno album, Mechanism Morningstar, released in 1994 on Mike Weston's label Pulse. His next local release in 1997 as Chaos Reader was on a compilation where he came together with many of the 398 and Kog crew, titled AK-97, a homage to the important influences of punk for the dance music scene. Denver also found regular international success with his music on labels such as New York's Industrial Strength and Statra. In 1998, Kog started the infamous CD release series at Herzog K Road, putting on a dance party every month or so where you got the artist's album with entry, resulting in thousands of albums getting out to nurture and support the cultural movement that is dance music. Denver's Micronism album was the second in the series, delivering a stunningly beautiful, lush, minimal, melodic techno masterpiece, this time inspired by Eastern spirituality. It was universal, international, yet fundamentally intertwined with the deepest roots of Aotearoa. But we almost didn't get it ready in time. Denver is a gentle human, and with such gentleness that he kept every song very, very quiet. The result of this was that all the songs he delivered had the most hiss on them of anything we'd ever heard. We ended up spending over a week denoising each individual aspect of each individual song. I remember lying on the floor of the studio at 5 a.m. one night, watching status bars thinking, we're fucked. But we managed to get it there, pristine and complete, just in time for the party, and it was a beautiful party. Yeah. This was the album that attracted the ears and minds around the country and added an important push to locally produced dance music. It got a bunch of great reviews, won Best Independent Release at the BNet Awards, got international notice, and helped inspire what is now considered one of the best dance music scenes in the world. And happily, Micronism also got a re-release in 2017 through our friends at Loop on vinyl and digital. Whilst the dance music scene in the late 90s had probably the greatest example of community spirit and working together you could hope for, it wasn't all plain sailing though. There was a substantial pushback for our crimes against music by a range of people who considered their opinions very important. And summarised to our faces at the time by one influential gatekeeper as, dance music is not real music. It has no place in New Zealand culture and you should stop doing it. Yeah. We obviously chose not to take their advice. Yeah. Sadly though, we still come across versions of this thinking regularly from this day from people in the music industry. So it's nice to see that the Tate Awards and IMNZ step up and help draw a line in the sand to those sorts of attitudes and acknowledge the place, role and fundamental importance of dance music to construct a place of value in the cultural experience. Music provides many paths to the same aesthetic experience, and we see this by the ever-increasing stylistic diversity of the IMNZ Classic Album awardees. It's really nice and right that an album like Inside a Quiet Mind now joins this group.
Do we have a Denver?
It was his birthday, Monday. I was hoping that this was going to be the first award and it would just get out of the way, but I just had to sit there in anxiety as all of these great people came up on the stage, and so I feel like I shouldn't be here. I don't feel like a real musician. But somehow or another, this has happened. It's just very shocking and strange. I'm very grateful. I'm going to read a couple of things that I wrote, people who I want to thank. My parents, John and Millie McCarthy. This is going to sound like an Oscar award speech, but my parents, John and Millie McCarthy, my mum, when I played in a metal band, she used to, drive me to band practices and have whole drum kits in the back of her car, drive me back from the venue. One time, the neighbours spoke to my dad and said, "Did you leave some kind of machinery on in the garage last night, all night?" And that was just me working on my first album. I want to thank Alan and Norma and Mike Kingsley Smith. Does anyone remember Kingsley Smith's music shop? So they gave me a job there, my first job, and they were like a second family, and they treated me as such. I attended Alan's funeral a few years ago, and they were just very helpful when I was making the transition out of guitars into synths and drum machines. I just traded all the stuff in and then got some other stuff. They were so helpful and supportive, so I want to mention them. I want to mention this very tall gentleman that I tried to hug just before, so awkwardly, Chris. Just incredibly generous time in the late 90s. I heard a rumor that all of the studio equipment was bought with a student loan. I don't know if that's true or not, or if I should even reveal that. But it was really the giving of people like Chris and the whole Kog crew that allowed me to, do something. They went out on a limb. They took a chance with me, and just very, very grateful, Chris, to you and the team, and thank you so much. One thing I want to mention, that Chris and also Mike Weston, who did my first album, Micronism Morningstar, which I thought was the one that should have got the award, but anyway, that's just my metal roots coming out. But both Mike and Chris, they were just so generous, and they just allowed complete creative freedom. And I think that's kind of one of the standards of an independent artist, is that they're allowed complete freedom, that it's not like that they have to approach a marketing team to see which music is going to go first, or how you're supposed to look on the CD cover. But Chris just allowed me to put whatever I thought, all of my creative choices were there. And there was this complete freedom. So I really feel like independent music, that's kind of like a standard that the artist should be given complete creative control. And I guess another symptom of being an independent artist is making little or no money. I want to thank Mikey, who has re-released the album, and I think is one of the reasons why him pushing it out into the public again, why perhaps I got this award. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't be here. And Mikey's just so supportive. I don't know anyone who's ever worked with Mikey. He just looks after every single detail. There's so much care and attention and sensitivity and love. So thank you, Mikey. Thanks so much. To the tight-knit electronic community from the 90s. I'm not sure if there's many of you here tonight. I know maybe I saw Andy earlier on. Not many of them are here. They're a bit too underground for this kind of thing. But, you know, the communities in Auckland and Wellington, especially Hamilton, the original Hamilton crew, and Christchurch and Dunedin. There was artists moving around the country all the time, playing at different events. I was just one of those, and somehow or another I got picked out of the bunch. And luckily too, because we're all introverts, so someone had to kind of take the stage, right, and do the speech stuff. So had to be someone out of us. Okay. To my son and my wife, my wife Bhakti and my son Kavi. They actually know very little of my dark techno past. But they're always very tolerant when it rears its ugly head. So I'm made of the kindness of all of these people that I've mentioned. Like a flower, it grows because of the environment that it's given, and because of all of these people, I just feel so grateful, and I'm indebted. And this reward will just serve as a reminder to their kindness upon me. So thank you all so much.